it is a huge welcome back. India has evacuated a total of 670 Indian nationals from Sudan and is looking at rescuing more of its citizens from the strife-torn African nation before the end of a tenuous ceasefire between the regular army, the Sudanese army, and a paramilitary force, the Rapid Support Forces. One C-130J military transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force has brought about 392 Indians to Jeddah from the port of Sudan in 3 flights. That 4th flight has already come on its way. A 5th batch already on its way. Operation Kaveri certainly in full swing. The total number of Indians evacuated from Sudan so far stands at 670. Of course, this number, because of the timely developments, may change at any given point in time. This, according to official data. Now, on Wednesday night, what is happening in Sudan as of now is also equally troublesome and gruesome at the same time. 512 people have died so far, at least. About 4,200 have been wounded, even as the 2 generals, who, by the way, were allies before, are continuing to fight it out in the streets of the capital, Khartoum. But the residents, our Indian brethren who have returned back to the country, touched down, that first flight after touching down yesterday evening in the national capital, New Delhi. Take a look at some of these reactions. Take a look at some of these sighs of reliefs, the smiles on these faces. It seems like it's Ukraine all over again when we evacuated all our medical students. But then again, you've got these Indians stranded in Sudan that have now made their way back home. Listen into what they had to say, listen into how they're thanking the Indian government, and exactly what their experience was like in Sudan.
अर्ली मॉर्निंग 9 वो हमारी कंपनी में एंटर हो गए थे और उन्होंने गोलीबारी करी है और लूटपाट करी है। 8 घंटे तक हमको हॉस्टेज रखा गया है। हमारे कितनी बारी भी हमारे जो बंदूक है हमारी छाती हमारे सर पे रख के हमारे से लूटपाट करी है। सारे कंपनीज में सारा डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया है, फाइल्स डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया, लैपटॉप चोरी हो गया, मोबाइल चोरी हो गया। बस एक मोबाइल मेरा बचा था जो विंडो एसी के पीछे हमने छुपाया था। उसके बाद हमने एम्बेसी से कांटेक्ट करा क्योंकि इतनी फाइटिंग हो रही थी, तो एम्बेसी भी कुछ मदद करने के लिए, क्योंकि उन्होंने कहा सेफ रहो। फिर इवनिंग के टाइम पे हमने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट करा कि हमारे पास फूड नहीं है, हम यहाँ से मूव आउट होना चाहते हैं। तो उन्होंने हमको अलाउ करा, तो हम एक विलेज में छुपे।
थैंक यू बोलना चाहती हूँ, हमारी जो जान बचाई है और हम सबकी।
Well, now joining us on the broadcast is Ambassador Deepak Vora, former Indian ambassador to Sudan. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Major General Ashwini Sevach, defense expert, also with us on the broadcast. A very good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Gentlemen, you must have seen the visuals that have trickled down on the social media. Take a look at what's happening on Twitter. You've got ministers and the local residents, the citizens, all in unison saying what a great job this Operation Kaveri has done. All, praises and laurels for the Indian government. How are you looking at, the developments in Sudan? Ambassador Vora, you've been a former Indian ambassador to Sudan. The situation there is, not unfamiliar to somebody like you. How are you decoding these 12 days of fighting? 500 plus people dead already, and at the same time, the evacuation process. What have we learned from Ukraine? Basically, throw some light on how you're looking at these visuals.
Well, thank you very much. Always a great pleasure to be on your show, sir. You're one of our best anchors, so thank you for asking me. We have Major General Sevach, whom I respect greatly. True, I was there for 5 years as your ambassador at a critical period in Sudan's history. One, the South separated, the civil war there ended, the war in Darfur began, etc., etc. Let me just tell you very briefly, these 2 guys who are fighting each other, you refer to one of them as the leader of the Rapid Support Forces. This is a bunch of thugs and hooligans. These were the guys who messed up Darfur, and finally, the former President Omar Hassan al-Bashir was indicted by the International Criminal Court because of the work that these scoundrels did in Darfur. It was outsourced to them. They raped, they robbed, they looted, they pillaged, they plundered, they took what they could, but they got no money from the government. It was a self-financing operation. As far as the evacuation is concerned, we have enormous experience. You will recall, we brought out 170,000 people from Kuwait. That was in 1990. Thereafter in Libya, we had in Lebanon, we had in Syria, we've done it in South Sudan, and last year, as you rightly pointed out, we did it in Ukraine. We have a standard operating procedure. The first thing that we do is get in touch with our people in this age of social media that is very, very simple and very easy to do as long as the internet is functioning. First, we should stay safe. We tell them not to act like Rambos and come out onto the streets. In Khartoum, the majority of the Indian community is based, mainly Gujaratis. They have a very strong support system. Their homes are close to each other. They're constantly in touch. And then questions are, look, are you short of water? I'll send you some. I'll just walk across very quickly and give it to you. Khane ki kami hai, bata do. If anybody is unwell, I'll send medicine. A very strong system. Then, after the fighting subsided to some extent, and we had been in touch with our friends on both sides. Both these leaders, incidentally, I know them well. Their families, their children, their wives, daughters, whoever, have either studied in India or received medical treatment here. Hundreds of Sudanese come every year. So our brand equity is very strong. After talking to them, then we told the Indian community, now you organize your trip, we'll help you move on to Port Sudan, because that's the port on the Red Sea. Monitor the movement right through. We lead from the front, sir. Let me tell you this, sir. Every Indian should be proud of the Indian Foreign Service. I know the Americans evacuated their diplomats and officials first. The rest remained behind. So did the Western countries. In the case of India, the ambassador and his team will be the last to leave. And that's something that we're very proud of. Bring them to the port, we put them on a ship, it takes them to Jeddah. From there, the Indian Air Force brings them back. The smiles on their faces, the relief on their faces, it says it all. Today, sir, we have sent a powerful message. With this flawless evacuation, the message is India will reach out to bring back its children wherever in the world they are.
Well, absolutely. Major General Sivach, let's go across to you as well. You know, what Ambassador Vora was talking about, these smiles on these faces and the larger message that India is sending out to the entire world. I mean, take a look at how swiftly we acted when you know, we were evacuating our students from Ukraine, and how swiftly we've really evacuated our brethren from, you know, war-torn hit Sudan. Your viewpoint, sir?
Absolutely. See, as far as India is concerned, our SOPs are well tuned. No doubt about it, India is one of the nations which evacuated maximum students from Ukraine, and not only Indians but also from other countries. And of course, what Mr. Vora was telling, that we have a tremendous experience, whether we have evacuated in 1990 from Kuwait, Iraq, and then from Libya, Yemen, and now last year from Ukraine, and now we are doing this Operation Kaveri. Now the challenge here is slightly different. Now the point which comes to our mind is there is a civil war type situation which is prevailing in Sudan. Now from Khartoum to the port Sudan, you have to make sure the people reach there. Because since the window of opportunity is only for 3 days, when there is a ceasefire between the Rapid Support Force and Sudanese army, that has to be made use of it. Because thereafter you are not sure. Once they reach Port Sudan, then the things become easier, because from Port Sudan through the Red Sea, they are taken by the ship or by the aircraft to Jeddah, and from Jeddah, from Saudi Arabia, then they are taken back to India. Now the question is, it's a multi-pronged strategy, and we are really proud of the way our team is functioning. Whether it is diplomats, whether it is defense forces, there is a total collusion, and there is a harmony and synergy, and the people are proud of their diplomats, proud of their defense forces, and we will make sure that each and every Indian is evacuated before these people come back. Now the question only is very important is that we have to hasten up our evacuation plan, because 3 days only are there. That is a new question. Otherwise, things are working very well. Both these rival groups, whether it is Rapid Support Force or Sudanese armed forces, both have respect for India. They don't want to challenge, but the situation is so, you can say, volatile there, you can't be sure. So I suppose a very good work has been done, and people have been now come to Port Sudan, from there to Jeddah, and from Jeddah to India. I suppose that we can really say that we all are proud of our nation.
Well, certainly, certainly. Nothing short of absolutely being proud of our nation.